this is what we're here to see. Please excuse the bug-covered windshield. Here's the arch. This is the arch over Interstate 80 in Kearney. There's a little glimpse of the arch in the parking lot. It's larger than I thought it would be. They even have 2 stories. Interesting place. Here's the entrance to the museum. Up the escalator to the arch.
This Oregon-bound woman is pushing her prairie schooner wagon while her husband coaxes their ox to pull it.
Get up, baby. Get on up.
That man told me the ox had pulled the wagon to Oregon. 2 weeks later, I'm pushing it uphill.
Margaret Frink and many other women covered thousands of miles of trail, mostly on foot.
There's not much rest crossing the plains. There's no end of necessary work. Tending the livestock, fixing the wagons. One should always stay on the main trail. We learned this the hard way. We turned off the beaten track and broke through the sod. I stood in the cold and held the horses for 2 hours.
I pleaded with them not to proceed so late in the season, but I was outvoted. So I vowed I will go with you, help you all I can, and if necessary, I will die for you. Until the day preceding his death.
The wind drifted snow into our tent until we thought we would freeze.
Our company was late arriving in Salt Lake. The young sent back a group of wagons to rescue us. 3 strong 18-year-old boys carried nearly every member across that icy water.
If we had not come when they did, their
dust.
We find on the trail a great deal of heavy, useless articles. A diving bell, anvils, bacon in great piles, tools of every description, trunks, chests.
We see stacks of books piled high along the way. We call it the Prairie Library.
As the trail grew steeper, many families were forced to throw heavier articles overboard, even a treasured piano. Almost 1 in 10 died along the trail, a sad fact recorded by many pioneers.
We began to see a grave every 100 yards or so.
Past a group of wagons that had turned back. The leader had drowned getting some cattle across. His wife was lying in the wagon sick, and the children mourning their poor father.
Through all my sufferings in crossing the plains, the faith and hope that I had strengthened in proportion to the trials I encountered.
At the map on the wall ahead. This shows how the Oregon Trail, California Trail, and Mormon Trail flowed together from Fort Kearny to South Pass, then split again. Now continue to the next room, where you see 3 large portraits, a Native American chief, a woman, and a prospector. What happened when the pioneers reached the end of the trail? Some found the better life they dreamed of.
Get the tools of the prospector here.
Cabin to get a good look at some of the new developments here in the West. I'm John Hanson Beaton, a newspaper man. There's plenty of news today because American life keeps moving faster. Extra, October 24th, 1861. Front page news. The transcontinental telegraph wire is now in place, says Edward Brighton, superintendent of the Pacific Telegraph Company.
In just 4 short months, crews from Nebraska to California have strung 2,000 miles of wire on 27,000.
While the railroad was under construction, the Union Army enlisted 200 Pawnee scouts as guards. The officer on your left, Major Frank Ford, wrote the following in July 1867.
Telegraph just transmitted to railroad. Cheyenne railroad. After killing most of the runaway army much of the train.
The Cheyenne returned 2 days later. Pawnee scout Ashore, the Fox chief, continues the story.
One thing most important happens when we find out just the army, even the hats. Instead, we enter the water and cross on both sides of the bridge. The Cheyennes wonder about this. We tear off the army hats and coats and give the Pawnee war cry. They are surprised to face real warriors, not soldiers, and do not fight well. This guarding of the railroad is good. It is a good summer.
The coming of the transcontinental railroad, the only alternative to walking across the prairie was riding a stagecoach. Author Mark Twain roughed it across the country by stage and had this to report.
Our coach was a great swinging and swaying affair, an imposing cradle on wheels. First, we would all be down in a pile at the forward end of the stage, nearly in a
Interstate 80. Imagine hopping in your 62 Cadillac convertible and hitting the road across the country. '62 Cadillac convertible. Depiction of your drive-in theater, where you always had to have a couple kids in the trunk. You have your roadside diner. The view of Interstate 80 under our feet. Traffic coming and going. I'd been under this bridge many times, but this is the first time I ever stopped in. Here's a view of the grand foyer in the Archway Museum and the huge chandelier. And the bison. Here's the bison mound. It's the grand foyer down below. That's the Archway Museum. Yeah, the Sandhills crane close up here. Actually, they're mounted. Shows the breeding couple with the nest and the egg. Here we have an old covered wagon.